Okay, and you see up here they're both 45, 45, 90 triangles. And so if it says find the missing side lengths, we go and look at the triangles. We have one that has the hypotenuse, right? And that's 10. 10 is the hypotenuse. So if we find the side length, someone tell me what we do to the hypotenuse to find the side length.
Divide.
Right. Divide by radical 2. So we would take this 10 right here, and then you would put radical 2 under it. You're dividing by radical 2. And this might be the tricky part that you guys might have trouble with, so everyone make sure you're paying more attention. If you were paying attention 100%, which I assume you were, you're going to be paying attention 150% right here, right? So you cannot have a radical in the denominator of a fraction if you're dividing by root 2. So in order to get rid of that, you multiply the denominator and the numerator by root 2, right? Because when we have a fraction and we're trying to simplify it or change the fraction anyway, you have to multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same thing, the same way you multiply both sides of the equation. And so when you get 10 times root 2, you can't combine those because one's outside a radical and one isn't. So you get 10 times root 2, and then when you have root 2 times root 2, someone tell me what that is. Root 4, which is 2. Yeah, I mean, you were right with root 4. So, yeah, you can multiply those together, you get root 4, and then the square root of 4 is 2. And then once you have this 10 root 2 over 2, you have these 10 and 2. They're both whole numbers. So you can do 10 divided by 2 and get 5 times root 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you can't change that radical right here because you don't have a radical in the denominator. You have to leave that. 10 divided by 2, because in this problem you have 10 root 2 divided by 2, and because these are both whole numbers, you can divide them.
Okay.
Okay, so then what would both of these sides be? 5 root 2, that is correct. Alright, so then what I would do is I would fill in the sides. You might want to come up here and fill them in on your original triangle too. So you're keeping up with the original problem. And so then, what does that mean about the hypotenuse of this second triangle? Right, yep, 5 root 2. So then, how would you find the side of that second triangle? Divided by what? Right. Let's get everyone to say it. What would we do to find the leg of this triangle? Ren, what would we do? Ren, what do we do when we have the hypotenuse of a triangle to get the leg? You would do what? Hypotenuse divided by... No. What does it say right here? Square root of 2. Caleb, what were you going to say? You can what? Yeah, you can get some water at the water fountain that's right there. Caleb, what do you tell the whole class? What do we do when we have the hypotenuse to get the leg? You forgot? Oh, you can't get water then.
I need water.
Alright. Divided by root 2. Alright, so everyone, that is the main point of the lesson. If you have the hypotenuse, you divide it by root 2. So if you have 5 root 2, what would you do to get the leg? Divided by root 2. Alright. And this one's pretty easy, because if you have 5 root 2 over root 2, the root 2's, if they're over one another, you can cancel them out, right? Does everyone know that rule? Okay. Cancel them out, you get 5. So the leg is 5. So you would come in here, you know your x is 5, this side's 5, and you basically have all the sides solved for in that figure. Would you say how? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry that you're injured there. Alright, cool. Alright, we're going to do a couple guided practice problems, and then you guys are going to get to work on your independent practice. I keep erasing things that I should just keep on the board. All right, I'm gonna do that thing where I go around the room and just ask you guys randomly. All right, everyone should be looking under guided practice. Look at that first problem. It's got the triangle with the hypotenuse of 8 root 2. Start thinking about how you would find these sides. Okay, James, how would you find side U?
5, 2,
Right, what would you divide by radical 2?
8.
So 8 radical 2, you're dividing that by radical 2, what would you get?
8.
Evelyn, why would you get 8? If you have 8 radical 2 divided by radical 2, you know why you get 8? Josh, do you know why you get 8? Right, when you have a radical 2 over a radical 2, you can cross out the radical 2's. Does that make sense, Evelyn? Cool, alright. So you would get 8. So U is 8. And if U is 8, Sakeja, what would V be?
8.
Right, V would also be 8. Because in 45, 45, 90 triangles, what is the relationship between the two sides? What?
90 degrees.
Alright, that is...
They're congruent.
They're congruent, right. The two sides are congruent. Do you have a question? No. Okay, cool. Does anyone have a question about this problem? You still copying it?
Yeah, you're gonna get it back in about 3. So it's right after, well, after lunch.
All right, is anyone else still copying it, or does anyone have any more questions?
Did you do another example?
Yeah, I'm gonna do another one.
That you guys are gonna do practice problems with her on.
I'm gonna ask you the questions for it, Erica.
Because I'm lost.
You're lost? What's the main rule?
The what?
The main rule of this lesson.
That.
Divide by root 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep that in your head. But you'll figure it out during this one, because I'll walk you through it. Okay. Erica, how would you find M?
No. You replace it, right?
You what?
You replace since they're both sides, right?
Alright, so you have 7, right? What's the only thing we pretty much do in this lesson?
You divide by 2.
Divide by what?
Radical 2.
Radical 2. So what do you think you do to 7? To get M? Divide by what?
Radical 2?
Right, yeah.
Oh.
Don't make it more complicated than it is, right? Alright, so and when you have a 7 over a radical 2, Kenyon, what would you do to get that radical away from the denominator? Because we can't have a radical in the denominator, right?
I know how to do it, but that's what I don't know.
Times it by radical 2.
That's the answer.
What's the answer?
Hang on. For the M or N?
For either one.
They're going to be the same.
I got 7 radical 2.
Over what?
Oh, wait. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds.
What's up? Alright, you can get some water if you solve this problem.
Alright. I answered. Would it be 3.5 radical 2?
Well, it would be, but it doesn't need to be that. You wouldn't really necessarily want to have a decimal point and then a radical in the same answer. You can leave it as a fraction. All right, Caleb, do you want to walk me through this and get your reward of water? You do what? What? Right. How did you get that? You just realized it.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone know what we would do to get rid of this radical? Right.
I've said that so many times.
Okay. So you just multiply the bottom by radical 2?
Both of them.
Alright, both of them. Alright. Does everyone get that? When you're getting rid of that radical 2 in the bottom, you have to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by radical 2. And then you would get, Caleb, what would you get for the answer? You get water. You get what? 48?
28.
All right, now you would, because what's 7 times radical 2?
7 times 2, 14.
Can you multiply something like under a radical with something not under a radical? No. So what would the answer for the numerator be? 7 radical 2. All right. So Caleb? What's the denominator?
2.
2, right? And why is it 2?
You cross 2 times 2.
If you multiply 2 radicals times one another, you can get rid of the radicals. You can get water now since you finally answered the question. Okay. So you guys can go ahead and get started on your independent practice. If you have a question, I'll come over to you immediately. If you have a question, call me over. Yeah, remember, you're just dividing the hypotenuse by root 2. That's like the main thing you should remember from this lesson.